Good morning, y'all. It is 8:37. We're on our way to close escrow. Y'all, it feels surreal. It's the only word I can think of. I mean, it's been a long time coming. I mean, it really hasn't been that long, I guess. What, 6 weeks? I don't think it's been 2 months, but we were coming up on that. Anyway, I am beyond excited. We all are. So we are hoping to get keys today. And if not today, of course, they have to verify funds. They have to do all this stuff. But hopefully we'll get keys today. And if not today, tomorrow. And the first thing you do when you buy a new property or you start managing a new property, you have all the keys redone. You have all the locks changed out because you have no idea who has keys to your new home. Now, if Billy Bob lived there, Billy Bob's sister or cousin or friend, there's no telling who has keys. So that's the first thing you do. Go ahead, honey. You change out all the locks. So I'm super excited about that, y'all. And I want to thank every single one of you who encouraged me and prayed for the process. And it meant so much to me, y'all. Okay, so what I want to talk about today a little bit is caregiving. Now, I have been a caregiver several times in my life. Sometimes it was just for a friend or a neighbor, and that was short term, not completely involved. But then there were times when I worked for an agency. I worked for the Catholic Community Services one time. They had a caregiving thing going for seniors. And I worked for excuse me, y'all, allergies are terrible. I worked for a couple of different companies, 2 or 3. But one I remember in particular is, and so when you're going to be a caregiver and you're going through a company, they do a background check on you. They do a credit check, but I mean, they're not really caring about whether your credit's good. But the background check is important. So, I got hired by this, fairly large company, and a good company has training for all the new employees. So you go through that training. Oh, and you have to have a TB test. So I went through all of that, the orientation, the training, the TB test, the background check, all that stuff. And I had a couple of short-term assignments. And I had let it be known that I would prefer to have a longer assignment. In other words, not be with Mrs. Smith for 3 days and then jump over to Mrs. Jones or, Mr. Jones, whatever. I really wanted a longer term commitment. So they called me one day and they said, Deb, we have an assignment for you and it's a long term. And I said, awesome. So this company was very good, y'all. They met with each client and the client's family, members that were involved in the client's life, a daughter, a son, whatever. And so they did an assessment. What does this client need? Do they need more like a companion? Do they need someone who can put together breakfast or lunch or even supper, take them where they need to go, the doctor, the grocery store, the bank, whatever. Or do they need another level of care? Which would mean, oh, there's a motorcycle cop. They're blown away when you wave at them. Anyway, so it goes, and then you can go all the way up to when a person is incontinent and they really need a lot of care, but they can afford to have in-home care instead of going to assisted living. Well, y'all probably know this about me, but I'm really squeamish about bodily fluids and things like that. I mean, I used to tell my husband, if you ever get to the point where you really need, a lot of care, I'm going to love you and I'm going to be with you, but I'm going to hire somebody to clean your hiney. He said, I know, Deb. I know you would. But anyway, it was kind of a joke with us. So I was more like the companion, light housekeeping. I washed windows, I did a little yard work, laundry, took them everywhere they needed to go. So they placed me with this sweet, sweet lady. They had done an assessment with the client. She was 90, by the way. And she had gone through 3 caregivers already. So what happens is, after the assessment, the company looks at all the needs and the desires of the client, and they send out a caregiver. Well, this lady she went through 3 people, y'all. That's a lot. So they're telling me this, she's gone through 3 caregivers and we just want her to see how she would do with you. And I'm like, wow, you're going to send me in to the battle lines, y'all. And I had developed a good relationship with the company. They could call me and I would sub if I was needed. And I was married, so I wasn't dependent on the income. So then they started going over my responsibilities. What am I going to have to do? Well, there was some taking her to the bank. There was, she didn't really go to she was 90, okay? So she didn't get out and about very much. But here's the crazy thing, y'all. One of her demands After I met her, I knew they weren't requests, they were demands. She wanted somebody that didn't yak, yak, yak all day long. They were setting this relationship up for total failure. Total failure. I mean, I can't keep my mouth shut. If somebody had duct tape, I would be... I mean, so anyway, I told them, I said, now y'all know that you're setting me up to fail here, and I will give it my best shot. But please, do not hold it against me if she kicks me out. They said, we won't. I said, okay. So I went over and I met with her, and I met with her daughter, and her daughter's husband was a sports physician. He took care of athletes, and the daughter had some kind of big thing. They were wealthy, y'all. This lady's home was on a golf course in Temecula. So we met, and my duties for this lady were very minimal. She had a housekeeper. I mean, a team. 3 or 4 ladies at a time would come in once a week and do everything. It was just her, y'all. There wasn't anything to do, really. So I didn't have to do any housekeeping. She had very little appetite. She was a tiny little thing. But we developed a very close relationship. And we got along very well. I didn't treat her like she was a baby. You know, I didn't treat her like she was a child. But at the same time, it was my responsibility to keep her safe. Now, she didn't even take any medication, y'all. I tried to get her, she took a bath every day. She didn't take a shower. And she had one of those big garden tubs. And I would tell her, could you please wait until I get here in the morning? I started at 9, and I stayed until, I think it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Because I had to go to school and pick up my son. So I loved her dearly. There's so much to tell about this little lady and my relationship with her. I don't know how we're doing. I can't see my phone. But, y'all, she had never had an ice cream cone before. So one day I had taken her to the bank, and she would always pull out money, and I didn't know what it was for. I didn't care. I didn't know how much it was. Not my business. So we went to McDonald's one day, and I said, you've just got to try an ice cream cone. They're wonderful. She'd never had French fries, y'all. So the first time we went, she got an ice cream cone. Well, I'm trying to teach her how to eat that ice cream cone. You got to lick around it, keep it from melting. Well, y'all, she had ice cream running down her hands. I had some baby wipes and a lot of napkins, so, you know, we managed. Then one day I said, okay, we're going to get some French fries. So we went to McDonald's. She always acted like everything was like no big deal. She was really stoic and, you know, kind of stern, and that didn't bother me. So she loved French fries, y'all. And I would show up, you know, I was there Monday through Friday, and then her kids took care of her on the weekends. So I would get there, and she would say, Deborah, I think we're going to have to go get some of those potato things today. Y'all, she was addicted to French fries. But she was the sweetest, kindest lady. Now, when you're a caregiver, you are not allowed for them to give you things. No gifts. No money, no gifts, no tips, nothing. But she would take me out to her garage. And she insisted that I take a bread machine that had never been out of the box. She got it for Christmas one year, and she said, I don't know what's up with my kids. They know I don't use this crap. So I said, no, I can't. You know, I could get fired for that. She goes, who's going to fire you? Me? I'm the one giving it to you. So I called her daughter, and I said, you know what? Your mom is insisting on giving me this bread machine. So I'm going to let her give it to me, and I'm going to give it to you. And she said, no. She said, take the stupid bread machine. It's never even been out of the box. And I think the other thing she gave me was like a stand, one of those big stand mixers, you know. And I checked with her daughter. Now, here's one thing. This lady collected Yardro. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it was, I believe, Italian handmade figurines. That's the best way I can describe them. And y'all, some of those things cost $800-900. And she used to get me to take her to the Yardro store. And she would get one or two. She had this huge glass cabinet with all her Yardro pieces in it. I loved her so much, y'all. Then we were moving away. She had to go to an assisted living. Now, this is a lady, I mean, every week we went and got the hair done, we got the manicure done, we got the pedicure done, and she would always insist on me getting a manicure. It was not very long, y'all, after they put her in assisted living and she passed away. You get so attached to your people. It's a hard job. Even though basically I was a companion. So anyway, that's just one experience I had, and I was with her for about 1.5 years. And it just broke my heart. But what are you going to do? So anyway, y'all, that's a fun story, kind of sad story at the end, but I better get off of here because I'm running way over. But I love y'all, and thank you so much for all your support. It means the world to me. So I will talk to y'all later, and you do something fun today. Bye now.